Hello, so in this video we're going to carry on with talking about how we can represent data in a table and how we can find the average of data which is represented in a table format. And I'm going to use an example which is set in context, because at the moment we've just been dealing with numbers, but actually if I use an example of something which is in context, so I'm going to use the example of a postman going about his rounds and delivering letters to houses on a street. And I'm going to find the averages or the average of the number of letters that he delivers. But hopefully by seeing it in context, you can visualize what's going on. And so it should make things a little bit clearer if it hasn't already. So I've got a table represented here. It's got the number of letters in one column and it's got the number of houses in another column. Okay. So the idea being that I'm just going to call the number of letters, rather than having to write a number of letters out each time, I'm just going to call the number of letters X. Okay, you can call it anything I want, but for convention, I'm just going to call it X, and it keeps them in the notation which I've introduced previously. And the number of houses, well, the number of houses is the number of houses which I deliver that many letters to. Okay, so that's the frequency. It's how often no letters are delivered, or one letter is delivered, or two letters are delivered, etc., etc. So, so this is my frequency in this column here. Well, how many houses have I got to deliver to in total? I can work that out now, because it's just going to be the sum of this column here. It's going to be the sum of this column here. So I've got 1 plus 3 plus 4 plus 1 plus 2 plus 1. That makes 12. So I'm going to deliver to, or the postman's going to deliver to 12 houses in total on the street. And just to visualize what's going on, I've got the 12 houses written here on the street, and I've got the bunch of letters in here. And I've just written a small version of this table down here. If you can read it, fantastic. If not, don't worry, I'm going to be reading it out anyway. So what this basically says, the first column basically says that no letters are delivered to one house. Well, I'm going to call I'm going to deliver no letters to this house here. Okay, so that's me sorted there. And then the next column says that I'm going to deliver one letter to three houses, or rather, three houses I'm going to deliver one letter to each. Okay, so I'm going to take one letter and deliver it to this house here, because remember, this house received no letters. Okay, I'm going to take another letter and receive it and send it to this house here, because that goes there. Oops. Okay, and this house here will also receive just one letter, and that will make my three houses that receive only one letter. Okay, so that's dealt with that next column. Next row, sorry. So this next row, my third row in the table, says that four houses will receive two letters. So that house receives two letters. This house receives two letters. Okay, this next house will also receive two letters. The next house will also receive two letters. And the following house will also receive two letters as well. So that makes my four houses that receive two letters. Okay, now looking at my next column, this is basically saying that one house receives three letters. So the next house in my street will receive three letters. Oops. Okay, the next column basically says that two houses will receive four letters. So this house will receive four letters. And this house will also receive four letters. And this final house, this next row, basically says that this final house receives five letters. So one house receives five letters. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then final 5. Okay, cool. So that's basically just unpacking that data a little bit and trying to visualize what that data is actually saying. So what does it mean? Well, I have 0 houses with one letter being delivered. So that's 0 times 1. Okay. I've got 3 houses with one letter delivered. Okay. I've got 4 houses with 2 letters being delivered. Okay. I've got 1 house with 3 letters being delivered. Okay, I've got 2 houses with 4 letters being delivered. Then I've got a final one house with 5 letters being. So again, this is just a visual example of why we should multiply the frequency by the x column, basically. So in other words, these 2 columns together, so we have to put a third column on, which is these 2 things being multiplied together. So in other words, 0 times 1, 1 times 3, 2 times 4, 3 times 1, 3 times 1, 4 times 2, and then finally 5 times 1. Okay, because what this does is it will give us the total number of letters that we're looking at in total in this case, because you know that's the total number of letters which we look at in total. Okay, which in this case works out to be 27. I think if you work it all out, because we have 0 times 1, which is 0, 1 times 3, which is 3, 2 times 4, which is 8, 3 times 1, which is 3, 4 times 2, which is 8, 5 times 1, which is 5. We add all that together and we should get 27. Now remember, we want to work out the mean, the median, and the mode. Well, the thing is, the mode is the most easiest one to look up, because we just simply go into this column here. We look at, because the mode, remember, is the most common value. Well, the column which deals with how common or how frequent something occurs is the frequency column. So we look at this column here. Okay, we find the biggest number in this column here, which is 4. Okay, and that will give us our most common value, which in this case is 2. So our mode is 2. So that's a nice easy one to work out. Our mean isn't actually that bad to work out either, because we've got everything that we need to work out our mean. We've got this column here and we've got this column here. This column here, remember, refers to this column here, the 27, refers to all of our letters together, kind of our, the total number of letters which we've got. So that's 27, okay? And this column here refers to how many houses that we're looking at, which in this case is 12. Remember our example down here, our 27 came from working, we worked out our 27 by how many letters we got in total, and we had 12 houses because we just summed all the frequencies together. So we have 27 over 12, which works out just over 2, so about 2 and 3/4, isn't it? Sorry, 3 over 12, which works out as 1/4, so 2 and 1/4, so 2.25. Okay. Now remember, well, the thing is, there is a nice formula for mean, actually. It's basically saying the sum of fx. Remember that sum just means we just add everything together. So in other words, we just add all of this column together over the sum of all our frequencies. We just add everything in this column together. Okay, and that's exactly what we've done to get that there. So this here, this 27 is the sum of fx, and this 12 is the sum of f. Okay, so this may look a little bit daunting, but actually we've already done it. Okay, so you can either just remember the formula or you can just remember, exactly what we've done here. So how do we work out the median then? Well, remember that the median is the middle value. So if we just look down here at our houses, okay, our visual example, our median is our n plus 1 over 2, our n plus 1 over 2. So what's our n? Well, our n is the total number of houses that we deliver to. So in other words, it's going to be a number of houses is 12, number of houses is 12, plus 1 over 2, so that's going to be 13 over 2, which is equal to 6.5. So in other words, our median value is going to be found by looking, if you like, in the alleyway or whatever between the 6th and the 7th house. So in other words, we're looking, this is first house, second house, third house, fourth house, fifth house, sixth house, seventh house. We're going to be looking in the alleyway, the garden, whatever, between the 6th and the 7th house. Well, not really, because we're looking at letters. So in other words, we just find the average of the number of letters which are delivered at the 6th house and the number of letters which are delivered to the 7th house. Well, they're both being delivered 2, so the average of 2 is 2. So therefore, the median is going to be worked out by, we know that the median is going to be 2. Now, how do we do that in the table? Well, we just use something called the cumulative frequency. So we have 1, 3 plus 1 is 4, 4 plus 4 is 8, 8 plus 1 is 9, 9 plus 2 is 11, 11 plus 1 is 12. Remember that 12 corresponds to the total sum of the frequency. So in other words, we've got the 12 here. And we're looking for So again, just do the n plus 1 over 2 formula. So n plus 1 over 2, we know that 12 is our total, so it's going to be 12 plus 1 over 2, so it's going to be 6.5. Okay, so we're looking for the 6.5 value. Well, the 6.5 value, are you happy that the 6.5 value will fall in this column here? Okay, sorry, in here, because we're looking, you know, this box here will take us up to the 4th house. This box here, though, will take us up to the 8th house. So if you want to visualize it, okay, that sort of second box, this box here, okay, this box here will take us up to the 4th house. So in other words, it will take us up to this house here, okay. But this next box here, will take us up to the 8th house. So in other words, it will take us up to the 8th house. So we know then that the median value must lie in this box here. Which means that it must lie in these row of houses here. And all these row of houses were given 2, so therefore 2 is our median. So median is equal to 2, okay? Hopefully that makes sense.